all the history of banking, has it ever been IUL that banks are buying?
IUL didn't even exist, so we know it had to be whole life because that was the only cash value life insurance that existed.
Three ones will not give you a CV line of credit on an IUL, period.
You can go get those on whole life and they'll lend you 95 to 100% your net cash value. And they understand the risk, they understand the problems, and so if that's how they're handling it with you, do you think they're going to put their own money there, or do you think they're just going to put it in the whole life?
But let me ask you this, BOLI, bank-owned life insurance, has it ever, in all the history of banking, has it ever been IULs that banks are buying?
I mean, IUL is a new product, so the answer is no. Now, here's what I'll say to this. So I always like to answer these kinds of questions with just with common sense. Okay, so and there's ways that we can get to the answers, even if it's impossible to actually get the truth. So let's go this way. So I'm going to push back a little bit, right, and say, all right, in fairness, banks don't actually disclose if they have whole life, UL, IUL, or anything like. They just disclose they have cash value life insurance. Okay, so we have to acknowledge
I can rebuttal that easily.
Okay. So we say that, and then we go, okay, historically speaking, banks have been doing this for over 100 years. Okay, so if that's the case, IUL didn't even exist, so we know it had to be whole life because that was the only cash value life insurance that existed. So we know banks have whole life unequivocally. Now what I do is I like to come closer to now, and I look at the banks that buy or that were doing the insurance-backed lines of credit or the cash value lines of credit, however you phrase them.
CV lines of credit.
Yep, CV lines of credit or IB locks or whatever. Yeah. But here's the deal. You can go get those on whole life and they'll lend you 95 to 100% of your net cash value in the policy.
I have them.
And there was a time a couple of years ago where that made all the sense in the world. Right now, the lines of credit lines are higher. I mean, there's some convenience or whatever. But the point to this is those banks won't typically lend you give you a insurance-backed line of credit or cash value line of credit on an IUL.
Not at all.
So
the top three ones will not give you a CV line of credit on an IUL, period.
And here's the deal. A couple that still will only give you up to a 50 to 70% that line of credit up to the cash value. So they understand the risk, they understand the problems. And so if that's how they're handling it with you, do you think they're going to put their own money there, or do you think they're just going to put it in the whole life? Like, they understand the risks, and and they've been using whole life forever, and so it is.
Bravo.
What it is.
That was great, man. I love the way you kind of took that back and you brought it current, and then you're like, but why would they if this is how they're actually treating it from a lending standpoint? Yeah. So I don't know. It's just lies, and more freaking lies.
Common sense is seldom common practice. That's what one of my mentors used to tell me.